wanted to make a quick video. So recently I had been saving up some money. That's course. I've been saving up some money, and usually what I do instead of I'm not a huge clothes person. I'm not a huge shoe person and stuff. The things that I really like buying and collecting are books and now more music and DVDs. But I wanted to talk about this last investment into the library and the overall how my process for either buying books, music, or DVDs. I know some of my friends ask hey man, how do you what books do you find, or how do you find the books, or what do you decide to learn from? So I want to make a quick video on that. So recently with Elite, I know I made a video about it. Elite is an organization that I'm a part of through the 4 years that I've been at university, and they help minority men succeed in college, African American and Hispanics males particularly, because we don't put up the numbers, and graduate like the rest of the demographic. So they built this organization, and recently I watched Black Panther. It is a great movie. I love the significance of it, just in the fact that in the entertainment industry there hasn't been a movie like that. But so with that in mind, I've been thinking a lot about, I'm about to graduate in the next couple months, so I was really thinking about what additions would really be valuable to the library at this point in my college education. I have a ton of business books. I have books on meditation, spirituality, stuff along those lines. But these last set of books that I purchased, and these DVDs and CDs, I just kind of wanted to talk about a little. So for music, libraries mostly have a music section and DVD audios and stuff along those lines. So these are just 2 CDs that I had recently purchased that also went along the lines of entrepreneurship, education, character building, minority men development. So the 2 albums, Jay-Z, The Blueprint, it's a classic. I've been listening to it over the last couple of days, and really just Jay-Z is kind of one of the people that I study, just business moves, his circumstances. He wasn't supposed to make it out, so his career has always been really fascinating to me. And then 444, the other Jay-Z project. Both of those I would recommend to anyone just interested in music, but also just Jay-Z's career. A couple movies that I bought. Abraham Lincoln, as a leader, he is kind of second to none. Daniel Day-Lewis is a great actor. If you look into him and the way he's worked on his craft is really fascinating. There Will Be Blood, another movie. It's kind of oil. There was a book on John D. Rockefeller called Titan that this movie is pretty similar to, or would be interesting to read the book while watching the movie. And then the last one was Latino Americans, the 500-year legacy that shaped the nation. I actually don't know too much about Hispanic history in the U.S., so with graduating, being a minority man, I kind of want to know where we came from and to kind of see where we can go and improve, and just kind of the roots, our ancestors and stuff along those lines, our history. So these were the movies and CDs that I bought recently that I felt were great additions to the library. And now I want to get to the books, the core part of the library, right? So the autobiography of Malcolm X, I've heard is an amazing book, so I wanted to check it out to myself, and now I have it for the rest of my life. I'll be able to digest it, read it. I know Jay-Z has a couple of lines about Malcolm X and stuff along those lines. Exponential Organizations. This book was recommended by Jay Shetty, who is a content creator on Facebook and makes a lot of videos about business relationships. But this book recommendation actually came from an interview he did with Tom Bilyeu on Impact Theory. And he said that these are new type of organizations that have been building over the last couple of years that are growing very, very fast and very effectively. So I was interested. Another Jay-Z project, Empire State of Mind. It's kind of the business career of Jay-Z, how Jay-Z went from street corner to corner office. I'm fascinated by Jay-Z, so I was really excited to get this book. The next 2 are some more Hispanic history. Harvest of Empire, A History of Latinos in America. Again, I'm getting more and more fascinated by the history of Hispanics in America, so I really wanted to get a couple books. The other one was called Our America, A Hispanic History of the United States. the same reasoning, especially with elite, being an elite for so long, seeing African American males but also Hispanic males succeed. It's going to be really cool learning about this history, and I'm really excited about it. So I was really excited about adding them to the library with this one purchase. Martin Luther King, The Strength to Love. Martin Luther King has always been a leader that, I mean, everyone's admired, but I think we should really start looking back into again, especially with just the way culture is going, and I believe he's going to have a lot of good insight into our near future of what how relationships are going to build, and I believe this is a great leader to look after. Start with Why, a kind of leadership book. It talks about how great leaders inspire everyone to take action, but it's really asking fundamental questions about why we do what we want to do, why we try to achieve the goals we want to achieve, why some goals are more important than the other. And it's really that answering the question is start with why. So I was really interested in getting that book. Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a slave who was being taught to write, but then was forced to stop, and then he taught himself how to write and read, and then he wrote his own biography. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see what insights he has, but also just Frederick Douglass is a great man. I think we should all study him. So I was really excited to get the Frederick Douglass book. And then the last two books of this kind of one big investment into the library. The Journey Home. This one is about a spiritual journey of I don't really recall what his name. A Swami. Oh, Radhanath Swami. It's about his spiritual journey, and I've heard that the way it's written, the obstacles he has to face, and the way he tells his story kind of pulls you into the story. So not only is it his journey home, and learning more about the spiritual side of his life, but also while reading it, it brings you in touch with your spiritual side. So I was really excited to get a book on that, because I don't have too many books on especially written this way. I'm really excited about adding that to the library. And then the last one that kind of goes a little bit in line with the DVDs is Lend Me Your Ears. It's the great speeches in history, and I believe that great speeches, especially when studying entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is all about organization and working together as a team. Speeches, most of their intentions are to a group of people, to a team, to an organization, and it's to either inspire action, to inspire thought, to inspire better relationship. It's to make the organization better as a whole for the most part. Sometimes it's really talking about problems and needing to view those problems in a different way. But the great speeches in history, it goes from all of history is 2,000 years of wisdom. So I know Abraham Lincoln, a couple of his speeches on here. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is in here. Malcolm X is in here. So I'm really excited to learn just about the speeches, the way they're written. The author adds some background and some situational information to make sure that you understand where the speech was coming from in history. But overall, I really just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this last investment into the library. How I made the decision to purchase these books was most of it came from Elite, studying minority men throughout history to see where minority men are today, but also how we can improve. With the music, Jay-Z and the Blueprint and 444. I know touch on very different themes, but overall great music, so I really enjoy Jay-Z. Lincoln, Daniel Day-Lewis, the way he approaches his craft is fascinating to me also, but Lincoln and There Will Be Blood. I know I got some books, but sometimes reading kind of gets, it's kind of tough to read for too long for me sometimes. So I got a DVD that goes over some of the same topics, or I believe some of the same topics of the books. I haven't really checked them out. And then the books, Malcolm X, the autobiography, Exponential Organizations, New Business Organizations, Empire State of Mind, the story of Jay-Z and his business career, Our History, Hispanic History, Harvest of Empire, another Hispanic history, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., so even hearing his words is awesome. It's inspiring. This is the first book that I started, actually. Start With Why, a leadership book about finding meaning. Frederick Douglass, The Life of Frederick Douglass, who is incredible. The Journey Home, a spiritual book, a spiritual journey book that also is maybe better to read at night too, just kind of ending the day, because it's more narrative and not so just nonfiction. And then Lend Me Your Ears, great speeches in history, learning from the wisdom of the people before us. I think is super valuable. But those are the investments in the recent investments, the recent purchase that I made. A little reasoning behind it. And it's not just books that people, I think all people learn from. I think we learn from all forms of art, media, written word. So also just I wanted to show some of the DVDs and CDs that I personally am going to explore over the next couple semesters, but hopefully to show others and give others a perspective on how they can invest in themselves, or how we can all start building our library. Maybe somebody wants more of a musical library than necessarily books, or somebody wants a movie collection that they learn and get a lot of the wisdom from. But everyone's going to have a different form of library or their different form of collection. Here's mine, a recent purchase, and I wanted to kind of give you the breakdown. All right.